This episode is presented by My Jersey Designs, Stephen W. Cross, attorney at law, and H&L Team Sales.
It's Dell Jackson, Andy Herr. We're at LL Hoop Shoot Around, LL Preview, which is a show we normally do, which for whatever reason, Andy, everybody seems to like. How you doing, big guy?
I'm doing well. This is the best week of the year, so let's get going. Let's get talking.
All right, man, let's do it. Let's start with Dell. I want to talk about the website a little bit. It's our 25th anniversary, and we have a book, 50 years, which is a couple years old now. So for the historians, we got all sorts of history. Most of the stuff you're going to find on our website will be under the LL playoff tags, but we got the brackets up, and we'll have features going. Sterling Cross has done some previews for us. We got some live stream coming up. We're going to do the girls on Thursday, and we're going to do the boys on Friday. We're going to talk about the first round games. First round games start February the 10th, and there's 4 games, and Andy and I will talk a little bit about each of the matchups coming up. We should have writers or videographers at all these games, so we'll have them covered, and that's going to be pretty good. And then the semis will be at Conestoga Valley. I think I got this right, Andy. 5:30 is the first and 7's the second, correct?
I believe that's correct, yes.
All right, let's get into it. So I got the first round game, top bracket, Crest, who is Section 1 champs, coming in at 14-7, and Lancaster Country Day, runner-up in Section 4. I don't have a record, but we can find it pretty quick. All right, talk to me.
15-7 is, I believe, what they are, I think, or 14-7, but
yeah,
yes.
There you go. All right, talk to me about that game.
This is sort of the microcosm of why this week is so fun, right? You have Cedar Crest, who is the defending league champ, who's been here what feels like every year, and you have Country Day, who's making their maiden voyage into the league tournament, which is sort of that ghost that they haven't been able to track down the last couple of years. But oh, by the way, Mennonite and Columbia have been in everyone's way, so kind of justifiably so. But I still like Country Day's guards a lot. I've said I think they're the best backcourt in the league with Ashby and Dukes. But they're going to find out sort of what a 6A team looks like up here, up close and personal. The other elephant in the room to describe Country Day is we know they're not tall. And Cedar Crest has the tallest guy in the league in RJ Young. So RJ might have a big point number going in this game if everything goes according to script, if that's the way things go. But what's going to be interesting, I think, for me is like first of all, how does Country Day handle this? Because this is, as we said, an entirely different animal. They are used to a gym where there is literally no bleachers behind the benches, and they are going to one of the biggest gyms in the league, and it has a graffiti art on it. It's called the Cage. It's something different. But for Cedar Crest, this is when they turn things on, right? Playoff Cedar Crest is just a different animal. And, I think Country Day is going to see what this looks like, up close and up and impersonal. But yeah, I think Cedar Crest moves on here. That's sort of my pick. And we'll see what they do in the semis.
Okay. So has Country Day played any like real big schools in their schedule, or basically smaller schools up to this point?
Not super big. What they do is they basically I call it the dueling seasons. They have the LL section season, which they always try and get in the league playoffs, never have until this year. And then they want to test their wares against the 1A schools that they'll see in districts, because they have a much more fortuitous road to a district championship than most others have in the league, because again, you're dealing in the 1A rank and file. And oh, by the way, Linville Hill is not in that neighborhood anymore. So your country Day, it looks like a super formidable foe, and Country Day knows that firsthand, because York Country Day went into their house and won by a pretty substantial number the other week. So yeah, this is just, I don't want to say this is all gravy for Country Day, getting to this far and playing in the league tournament, but good on them, right? They've been chasing this for a couple of years, and I mean, they have a district championship under their belt too a couple years ago, but this is still two championship pedigree type programs that are going at it to kick things off on Monday night.
Nice, nice. All right. Second one I have up here is Conestoga Valley, runner up in Section 2. They kind of came on late, I thought. They started a little rough and they seemed to get their act together and they got in there. And it's been a while for the Bucks, I think, for this. And they're versing Manheim Central, who's 3-1, who comes in with, I think, the league's best record at 20-2.
Yeah, if it's not Central off the top of my head, then it's probably Mennonite because they only have 2 losses overall as well. But I think Mennonite's only played 21 games, I think. So
Mennonite's 19-2. So the Central and we'll talk about them. I got some ideas here, but go ahead, talk to me about this game.
No, you're right. I mean, CV really has come on strong here the last few weeks. I think if I remember right, certainly I want to say at like the beginning of the month to the middle part of the month, CV was sort of in that like 4 to 5 range of like the Section 2 standings, and it was sort of is it going to be a Cacalico? Is it going to be an Ephrata? Is it going to be is CV going to make a push? And they did. Now they had some help along the way with sort of Ephrata and Cacalico coming back down to the pack a little bit, and then CV being able to surge past them. The game that I think really turned their fortune around was going into Ephrata and beating the Mounts by 10. I think it was 60-50. That was a huge road win that gave them sort of a leg up in the pecking order. And yeah, they've really come on strong because the first time I saw them, I saw them at the Christmas tournament over to Cedar Cliff, and Red Lion they took it to them. And I just was like, I felt coming out of that game, I'm like, I know this team has more in the tank, and I know I saw them on an off night. I knew as much, but I didn't know really what that ceiling would look like. But here's what it is. It's getting in to the league playoffs, deservedly so. They took care of their business, and they're going to get in the district not finals, but the district tournament as most likely the 15th seed in 6A. So they've really been able to find something here of late to get into the postseason, and good for them. But yeah, Central, I just like Central because they're not the sexiest team around. They just play so fundamentally sound. I don't know how to describe it. They're not going to wow you with get off the bus talent. They have guys that can do things like Landon's eyes that can put it on your head. He can do that. But like there's been more talented Manheim Central teams over the years, like the Walshes and the Funks and Wiederick and like those types of guys. But this team just, that's what they are. They're a team. Every piece seems to fit together nicely for them. And this might be their best chance to do something they've never done, which is win the league tournament. I like them a lot. So I like them here in this first round game too.
We saw them at their Hoop Fest, and we've been watching the box scores and things. The one thing that I'm seeing from afar, that they got guys that can score, and more than one. They're not star centered. Yep. And they got 3 guys that can pop threes, and they play really well on the defensive end. They're not super athletic, but they play really well team basketball, I think.
And again, without a superpower in this 8-team field, maybe it's just going to be the team that plays the best basketball, complementary wise, offense and defense. And when they don't turn the ball over, they're very dangerous because they're just going to grind you to a pulp and just going to run through that motion. And if you're not prepared to play defense for like a minute plus, good luck. So,
well, help me out here because I'm not quite sure, but these guys have been in the finals a couple times here, last couple years. Yes.
Yeah, a couple times. They played years ago as a Trey Grube team. They almost beat Hempfield, or I think the team that beat Central to get that first one on that 3-game or 3-year chase that they were on. So yeah, Central's been in the semis before. If they haven't gotten to the finals, they've made it to the semis at least. The program with Coach Fish is on a nice little uptick, and for them, I hope they can stick with it because sort of like Warwick, who I know we'll touch on, how they sort of found gold going from Section 1 to Section 2, and sort of found their niche. I think Manheim Central can do the same thing going from 2 to 3 if they stick. If they don't build like a new development and like they don't get the numbers of people that come in and out of the student body, if they can stick in that Section 3 rank and file, I mean, them and LS are going to be just a nightmare for teams to sort of knock off, sort of like the Mennonite and Columbia thing that we had going in Section 4 and 5 for a couple of years.
I think you're right there. I think you're right. All right, next game, Octorara. They're runner-up in 19 and 3, at Warwick, section champ in 2, 17 and 4. What an interesting game this is going to be.
It is the Braves and the Warriors, I think, and I believe this is Octorara's first trip since a Saturday night in 2007 when the Warriors of Sheldon Griffin and Travis Gladfelder were able to knock off Octorara. Sorry, Coach Lambert, I had to sneak that in there. I might have had a say in how that, or I might have had a firsthand view on how that game went down. But yes, two teams that really don't see each other during the season. They do in the off season quite a bit in scrimmages and stuff like that. But yes, Warwick, section champs for what, the 27th time in a row, it feels like, with Section 2. They've just had ownership rights over that.
Seems to be, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And they found their niche. They have a nice little pipeline going, and then they've been able to build upon it. But they're going to be playing at home. And Octorara is the quietest 19 and 3 team, maybe in human history. We just, I don't know if it's because we've come to sort of expect a good season from Octorara every year out of the box, but the other thing too with them is I looked at the roster the other day when I did their game, and like they're pretty young. Yeah. So this is sort of the next wave of, the next wave of Braves are kind of coming up here. And, you know, you don't want to say a team sort of has destiny behind them, but we know Warwick is sort of the new Hempfield in this league tournament, where it's like they get so close and they've been so close for so many years. And it's like, is this finally the year where Warwick gets to party like it's 1988, I believe is the last time, which almost seems hard to believe. Yeah. Like, and they're going to be quite capable of it.
What are the strengths for Warwick? What are their strengths?
Shooting, for sure. And when it leaves them, it can sort of be cruel when it leaves them. I don't think they had a great shooting night against E-Town the other night, which is a game that they dropped at home to E-Town, a much improved E-Town team, by the way. Shout out to Coach Lee Eckert for his finish down there.
Yeah. Very good at the end here. Yes.
But the other thing too is they have a chess piece that not many other teams have. Your Majesty Washington, with the ball in his hands, when he goes downhill, there are not many guys that can stop him. On the defensive side, I really love Caleb McCammon as a defensive stopper. If your best player is sort of a wing type, he'll lock you down. I love the way that kid plays. He really took Jace Conrad out of the first Garden game that I saw in person. I was really impressed with him. Won't blow you away with his offensive numbers, but if he can take away your best option, that's a huge leg up in a week like this. And then as Warwick goes deeper into the 6A playoffs and on down the line. But when they guard and they shoot, they're a problem.
Yeah.
They're a problem. So that's what I would say the key is. And I mean, Octorara, I'm sure, wants to get out and go gung-ho and do all of that. But if Octorara turns the ball over, they might be in for a long night in Lidditz, but we'll see.
All right. I think that's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be Octorara's speed against Warwick's kind of strength and scoring power, personally. But we shall see. We'll have it covered. All right. Last game of Monday is going to be Penn Manor, runner-up, Section 1, 13 and 9. And I know you and I talked off camera. They got some... There's some things that they we'll see what happens with them the following week as well. Versus Mennonite at Section 4 champs, 19 and 2. And you see Mennonite a couple times this year. I've seen Penn Manor play probably out 4, so I probably can talk about Penn Manor a little bit, and I'm sure you can talk about Mennonite. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, so to get back to your earlier point, to talk about Penn Manor, by the time when we're recording this, there's some things that are outside of their control right now. As of the moment, as of what is this, 5:15 on Saturday night, they are in the District 3 playoff field as the 16th seed.
Okay.
Waynesboro beat Carlisle last night on Friday, which got them within a whisker of chasing down Penn Manor for that last spot in districts. At the moment, Waynesboro is supposed to play Chambersburg on Tuesday. So they do have a game outstanding. Now, there's a weather system coming in on Tuesday, which, speaking of which, moved our girls' games that were for Tuesday up to Monday as well. So not sure if that game gets played. Are they able to slide it into Monday, perhaps? Don't know. But for the here and now for Penn Manor, this is going to be a challenge, I think. The good news is, with a wild atmosphere like Mennonite's probably going to have down there, havoc really reigns supreme. And if they can get out in that press, if they can do the run and jump, if they can basically do what they've been able to do this year, it's going to give them a fighting chance. The thing is, for Mennonite, they don't play a lot of kids. At least they didn't against Anvil when I saw them the other night. But they run really, really good offense. I don't know how many times in the second half Bill Rothwine had just easy dump offs right below the rim. Yeah. They're not, Mennonite is not the biggest team in the world, but they are long. So again, we've said since the beginning of the year, is this the year when one of those smaller schools that is not named Lancaster Catholic, who's done it for years and years and years, is this the year where a team like that can do something? Yeah. And I think they can. Penn Manor is not, they're not going to have like the sticker shock of like, oh my gosh, this is a 6A team, because Mennonite's been here, done that. We've talked about their schedule a million times over and how they keep scheduling these Goliaths in the off season, during the season, to get prepared for games like this. And then, by probably the Shamrocks in a couple of weeks with that game coming down the line too. But I think Mennonite home is just a different animal. And we're gonna see where Penn Manor's headspace is, because by the time this game rolls around, we'll have an idea of, are they in districts? Like, what's the implications of that? Or is this sort of their only shot at the postseason? If I were a betting man, I'd say they make districts just based on the things at hand. But this might be their only shot. It could be, and if it is, we haven't seen that a lot over the years. I think, if memory serves, like, I think CV in like 2016 had a deal like this, where it's like they only could play in leagues and they had nothing else. I know the Cacalico team in 2010 against Hempfield made it the league final. Like, we don't see that this often. So maybe they have some extra gas in the tank if this is their only shot at the postseason. I don't think it is, but that's another element at play, I think. So
I think Penn Manor, again, I've seen them play couple times this year. They rely on that defensive run with their traps. So if they can get one of them 8-0 or 10-0 runs, I think they can hang in pretty well with this. The other thing interesting to me is you got two big time scorers, one for Penn Manor and one for Mennonite. So that's going to be interesting. I know they probably won't go head to head, but it'll be interesting to see two kind of top scorers on the floor at the same time.
The more I think about it, the depth, I'm not going to say it's going to be an issue, but it could be a factor at the very least. Because like I said, Mennonite doesn't go super deep. Jordan Lilly came in for a few minutes against Anvil the other night, but other than that, they played for sure 6, and he might have been the 7th. So
Penn Manor plays 10 every game.
Yep. And it's going to be that hockey substitution that comes in. The sort of the junior high platoon system. Okay, your team 1 and your team 2, and let's go. So
let's go. We'll throw out Dean Smith's blue team, UNC. From a Duke guy, just to let everybody know, all good. Hey, I know I have on our list talk about districts. If we want to go there, we can wait till another time. But do you have any thoughts on what our guys are looking at?
We can talk about it for a little bit, and then we can sort of dive into semis and sort of the finals for this week yet. But yeah, just to sort of splice this in, I think from a district standpoint, it feels like we have a lot of top-heavy type talent, to where like Country Day is going to be the 2nd seed in Single A. Mennonite is maybe going to be the one in section 3 in 3A. Right now, they snuck past Trinity, but Trinity is supposed to play a game, I think, on Monday against Shamokin. I don't know how big Shamokin is as a school, but I think they're okay in size, so they might jump Trinity, or they might jump Mennonite. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because if you're the 1 and 2 seeds, you're playing at home, and so you're playing at the Giant Center. So it's what color uniform are you going to bring to the Giant Center, basically. But 5A, again, Central right now. I think they're going to finish up as the 1 in 5A. So that's a nice kudos. You had the Octorara and LS. Oh my gosh, is it going to be the decimal point that pushes LS into the district playoffs against Octorara type thing? So they're up there pretty high. And then in 6A, you have Warwick right now, I think is sitting in like the 7 neighborhood. Cedar Crest is in there. And then, yeah, you have the 14, the 15, and the 16 seeds are all LL teams with Ephrata, CV, and Penn Manor at the moment. So high level, that's what we're looking at from districts. And other than that, everyone else is sort of getting ready for Spooky Nook and the summer league. So yeah.
Hey, just remind everybody on the district. So the higher seed gets home court up to what point? Finals?
I believe it's still the finals. I believe so.
So let me touch on one more thing before we leave here today. So our live stream schedule is set. We're going to do the girls game whenever that might be, and we're going to do the boys game. So right now they're scheduled for Friday and Saturday. And we've done some NFHS, and Bruce Bagley's been in charge of that, and we've had some really, really, really good games. And we want to thank all our sponsors for allowing us to be able to produce these games down the road. Now, as far as districts go, District 3 for a finals game charges a pretty big hefty fee. And we're not opposed to doing the game, but we probably couldn't afford the fee. So if there's a team out there that wants to, if they're in the finals and they want us to do it, they need to contact either me or you to set that up with District 3. Anything else you want to add today, Andy?
Yeah, I put my bracket out there as I always do today. So I'm sure that's getting a lot of, well, more hate than love because only one team can be on my final line. So go off of the semis that I have. I really like Manheim Central against Cedar Crest. Again, I'm not doing Central any favors by sort of throwing that out there because we know an angry Cedar Crest is a dangerous Cedar Crest, regardless of what their regular season is. Yeah. But I like Central a lot. I really do. I think they are able to sort of get past that semifinal hump that has mostly been their fate the last couple of years. And then the other one, I pulled the trigger. I picked Mennonite over Warwick. That's the game I feel the least confident in. From that perspective, I could easily see Warwick winning that. I don't know. I just went off gut. I think I like Mennonite a lot. It's not going to take necessarily a superhuman effort, I don't think. And the one thing I will say that I think is going to be an underlying factor in this game is we mentioned Mennonite's not going to be intimidated by teams like Warwick or Penn Manor or teams like that.
Yeah.
But what is different is this Warwick team has been there, done that for years and years and years and years. Mennonite has not. And if we're talking about a doubleheader at CV or wherever it is, a doubleheader, and that's a whole different animal. Yeah. That is a whole different animal. Mm-hmm. And we've seen Warwick last year, Tyree Hughes at the gun, fires one in. Like they're built for this. They are. But so is Mennonite. So I hope it's going to be a great game. Like I said, I've been riding the smaller school is finally going to do it this year type of thing. So I just pulled the trigger on it. I would not be surprised at all to see Warwick in there. If it is Warwick and Manheim Central, holy cow. That game last week, that was probably the game of the year where Warwick's up big, Central comes back, Central wins on their home court. If that is the final, we could only be so lucky to see part 2 of that game. But if it is Mennonite and Central as I picked, I just like Central. I like their pieces. I think they run really, really disciplined stuff. When they take good shots, man, they are tough to beat. I think it's their year. I do. It's wide open. This is the most wide open I can remember it. This is the least confident I've been in basically making my bracket this year. So it'll be fun. I'm ready for it. It's the best week of the year. It always delivers, no matter who's in the finals or who does what, or It always delivers, man. It always does. This is the best week. This is where we really shine out against some of the other conferences, and it's an honor to be a part of it. And yeah, when's Monday night? Hopefully it's like in the next couple hours. So yeah, I'm excited.
You're getting excited. I'm getting excited. We have our crew out. We'll have it covered pretty well. So hey, thanks for all you do behind the scenes and keeping us going this year. And we'll put this up. Send me your brackets. We'll put it in the video as well. Okay.
All righty. Sounds good.
Thanks for watching and supporting LL Hoops. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on socials. And check out our sponsors supporting local businesses and sports. See you next week.